destroying all unlike itself. In time, all will come to see this. What a load of responsibility we assume that we were never meant to carry. Remember that in the divine plan, no mistakes are made, and that if God could have done it in a better way, it would have done it differently. I love that quote. There's no mistakes in God's plan. So, especially what a load of responsibility we have taken on. Yes, it's been a year at least, 18 months, and I, as a nurse, I kept saying last year, did I sign up for this? I don't remember signing up for this pandemic, as it got worse and worse. And I know that many frontliners, struggle. They struggled with PTSD. I had family, we were concerned about bringing this home to our family. And so there was a lot of concern and, just being conservative about what we did in the world because of what we saw. So as we're re-entering the world, I had to think, they talk about babies. When babies are born, they did a study, and the babies that were touched and held versus the babies that weren't touched and held. And the babies that weren't touched and held when they were born, they didn't do so well. A lot of them passed away or were very sick versus the babies that were held and touched, even if it wasn't by their parents. It shows how much of touch and intimacy and connectedness is important to us human beings. And so when I thought about this study, and I think about what we've gone through, we have not had that. And how that has impacted us in ways that we may not even be aware of. When I saw two people hugging today, it put a whole new level of gratitude in my heart to see something that we took so much for granted, right? We didn't even think twice about hugging someone. And now we actually do think twice about hugging someone. But so I think it's important that we think about that we're not the same person that we were a year ago or a year and a half ago. That's not a bad thing. It's just we're not the same. So who am I today? What's different about me? What am I not aware of? What am I aware of as I re-enter into this world? I went to Las Vegas last week. Talk about re-entering the world. Re-entering the world on steroids, okay? So I had no clue, okay? I followed every rule about, keeping your mask on and staying home. And so I went there not knowing that they don't wear masks now in Las Vegas. And the first thing that I did was went to a restaurant indoors with the doors closed with no mask. Just about everybody in the restaurant had no mask on. Now, that brought me anxiety. And so I didn't know that. I didn't know that would bring me anxiety. So I had to go within and check in. Is this something that I want to do? And so I did. I just sat with myself, and I sat with the feeling and the energy, and I took some breaths, and I went to the bathroom and just took a moment to decide, is that something I want to do? And then I realized, yes, I could do this. And so that's kind of an example of what I'm talking about as we re-enter the world. Because having that awareness when we put ourselves into situations that are new, to give yourself permission to step back and say, is this where I want to be? Is this okay with me? To have that inner awareness and to honor that, to really honor the body is full of wisdom. Yes, it tells us. It will tell us what is good for us and what's not that good for us. And so we can stop and say, let me assess what's going on inside of me. It is a powerful way to honor yourself as you go out into the world. And it's really okay if you need to step back and take a break or go for a walk out in the open. And it's really okay for others who don't. And that's where the dance begins. When we can be okay with who we are out in the world as this new being, and be okay with who others are out in the world and their choices that they're making. And so this is where we can begin to go within and remember that we are all perfect children of God, perfect expressions in our own individuality. And we love to say that in Science of Mind, right? We're unique expressions, we're unique, we're authentic beings, but when somebody does something different than what I like, oh, wait a minute, not that, only unique like I'm unique, right? Only my kind of uniqueness. But when we can give or grant the space for others to be that unique expression of themselves as they too are navigating this new way of being in the world, then we can be more at peace. We can have more peace within because we're just allowing and we're being aware. We, here in our teachings, have an awareness that maybe some others might not have, right? So we can be responsible for that awareness. Too much that have been given, much is asked, right? We're here for a reason. We are the light bringers. We bring the light to the situation. You're in this room. You're watching this on the internet. Signed up for this. We did. We signed up for this. Thank God. Thank God that we have all signed up to bring the light, to bring our heart center to this world. When I was at the beginning of the pandemic, I was at Redondo Beach Center for Spiritual Living, and I was really struggling. Like, I wanted to run the other way. I did not want to be a nurse. I don't want to be a nurse. I don't want to be a nurse right now. I don't want to be a practitioner. I don't want to, I just want to run. And my minister at the time said to me, they need you. This is what you were made to do. You have a ministerial consciousness. I was in ministerial school. You have a nursing consciousness. This is what you were brought here to do. And that statement was so, just brought life to me to take on what was being asked. And so I'm offering that to you. That this is why you were brought to this earth, to bring the light, to bring your consciousness, to bring your openness, no judgment to people as they choose to re-enter the world as they do. We are an open and receiving community. I heard that here, yes. So that's where we start to practice that as we move out into the world. So integrate means to combine one thing with another so that they become a whole, so that we become whole. So it reminds me, sometimes I think of, I love that movie. It's an old movie about tornadoes or hurricanes. Twister. Is that the name of the movie? Twister. Yes. So it reminds me kind of that movie. That's one of my favorite movies. But after the tornado would pass, the people would come out of their basements or their underground places where they would wait for the storm to pass. And the look on their faces, when they would come out was like awe, like, what should I expect? What's out here now? Who's okay? Is everybody okay? Who's not okay? That's kind of how I feel like, oh, here we are. Who's okay? And who's not okay? And who's not telling us that they're not okay, right? It's really important that we check in to make sure we're okay, and that we check in with our loved ones to make sure that they're okay. Because, as you've noticed, the world out picturing is experiencing mass shootings, increase in suicide and mental health issues. So we really need to check in with our loved ones and ask them, are they okay? Are they okay? And let them, answer, in an open, loving space. It's important because we are supporting this world in a way, I think, like no other. Because I cannot tell you the importance of our knowledge and experience and awareness and our love that we bring to the table. I think it's time that we own it, that we're responsible for it by sharing it and creating and not being afraid if a stranger doesn't look like they're okay, like to ask them, because they're not really a stranger. They're just a friend that we haven't met yet. They're just a brother or sister, because that's what we are, brothers and sisters, that we haven't met yet. And when we can offer a smile, or can I get you a glass of water, then we are helping our brothers and sisters. I was at Target the other day, and there was a woman, and there was like 5 or 6 people around her. I don't know what happened, but either something must have happened because people are asking, are you okay? And, my first inclination, as a nurse is, run to the rescue. But there were so many people helping her. I could just, tell she was fine. But it was beautiful how these strangers, she was all by herself, had come to her rescue, had come to make sure she was okay. That's who we are. Yes. That's who we are in our hearts. As a community, to make sure that each one of us are okay. So I want to ask you, what's stopping you? What stops you from checking in on people that you don't know or that you don't know yet? From the person, walking down the street that doesn't look too good. Like, what stops you? I totally get fear and safety. I understand that. But if fear and safety weren't a problem, what is it within us that stops us from helping our brothers and sisters? So that's an internal question for you to ask yourself. Because I truly believe that that's why we're here. I truly believe that's why community. That's what community is what it is each other helping and uplifting us. That's what this community is, our church community. That's why we feel so good when we leave, is because we're connected and we help each other and we lift each other up. And then we can walk out into the world and be a better person because we've been lifted up. Boy, do I miss church. Do I miss church in person? That we spend so much time away from each other. It's really sad in my heart because it feeds us. It feeds us so much. Probably in ways we didn't realize, right? Until we didn't have it, how much it fed us. So I am such an advocate to in-person church, and I know sometimes you can't be here in person, and online is great, but there's nothing that can replace our own human connection and looking in each other's eyes and smiling and feeling each other. Yes, that's just what I really believe what church brings to us, because we all come together for the same reason, like-minded beliefs and support of each other. So I just invite you to keep coming into this room and connecting with each other. Fill your tanks up so that we have more to give into the world. We give from the overflow, right? We give from the overflow. We come here, we fill up our tanks, we feel good, we have the light of God within us, we do our spiritual practices in between, and then we have a full cup from which to give. I think that cup's been empty for a long time. I think the cup has been empty. And with not having the connections that we had in person. So now is the time that we can come together and grow together and learn together and hold each other when we need to be held. That is what community is. So that way, like I said, we go out into the world and be a positive influence on those who we connect with. So I have a few steps, some steps to re-entering the world with compassion. So 1, I invite you to go within before you go out. So you like just filling up your tank. Do your meditation practice, your yoga practice, your chanting practice, your reading, whatever your practice is. Fill yourself up before you go out. Because that will heighten your senses as well, which help you to regulate whether you want to be in a certain place. You know, your senses are heightened, you can feel the energy, and you're like, I think I need to just step away from this. You know, your senses are heightened when you're doing your spiritual practice. So go within before you go out. Number 2, know your limitations. Be honest with yourself. You know, I had to be honest with myself when I was in that restaurant. Like, okay, this feels really uncomfortable. Let me see if this is something that is good for me or not good for me. And, you know, I went inside and realized, okay, I can do this. And just be honest with yourself. And other people might not understand. But you are a unique expression of the divine, yes? So you have unique needs. So respect that. Respect that in yourself, and respect that in everyone else. And that's number 3, to respect that. Your needs, and if you need to leave a gathering, a party, you need to leave that, you're respecting yourself. You're saying, hey, this is not good for me right now, today. Maybe tomorrow it might be okay, but today it's not. And then when somebody else, say you want to go to coffee, and they realize, oh, this is not good for me, to give them that space. Say, okay, maybe we can do this another time. So you're giving yourself and you're respecting others as well. Number 4, ask yourself, how can I be even more loving to myself and others? In other words, how can I just love myself through this process? You know, a lot of times we say we want to go back to the way it was. I want to go back to normal. Well, I don't think that's so anymore. So how can I love myself in this new normal, this new way, this new world? How can I love myself even more, do my self-care, and when I'm full, then I can love others? How can I be more loving to others? I really feel that loving to others is much needed out there. Even in just a simple gesture. You know, somebody's at the grocery store, you want to take their, they put their groceries in their car, and you want to, I'll take your cart back up to the front for you. Simple gesture. Opening the door for somebody. Simple gesture. Eye contact. Simple gestures that we are aware of when we are full, when our cup is full, when we are coming from that loving space of community. And number 5, what has this pandemic taught you? How has it made you different? What have you let go of? This is something really good to write about. What have you let go of? What do you need to take on? You know, I went to, during the pandemic, when there was the toilet paper run. That was interesting, wasn't it? The commodity. I went to the market, and all the shelves were empty. And I was getting it for my dad, who he needed it. And there was this very tall man standing next to me. And, you know, as you can tell, I'm not that tall. And up on the top shelf, all the way in the back, were 2 rolls of toilet paper, 2 packages. And I saw him reach up, and I felt like I was 5 years old, right? So I'm looking up at him, and he's grabbing those 2, and I'm like, can I have one, please? And I felt like I was such a child, but I was like, as desperate. I had a desperate energy. Can I help, please? had a moment where I was afraid that he would say no. But he looked down at me and he handed one to me. He handed me one of his 2 packages of this commodity that was so hard to find. It made a difference. That action, he didn't say a word to me. He just gave it to me. That action changed me forever. About how a stranger can make a difference in someone's life. And how it was my turn to pay it forward from there. Yes? Yes, that's what we do. So don't think you're small, or they're not small. Don't think that your actions of kindness and loving don't make a difference, because that man will never know what he did to my heart. He'll never know the fear that I felt that he might say no to my request. But he didn't. He saw the humanity, he felt into his heart, and he gave me one of the 2 packages. No questions asked, no words asked. So we are here, that's who we are here to be. So I'm asking you to find within you, how can I be more loving and kind to others in this world? First to myself, keeping myself, my inner self, what I feel is safe according to me, and then out into the world. That's my ask of you, to make this transition smooth for everyone who crosses your path, because that's all that matters, is the people that you are in touch with on a daily basis, at the grocery store, your family, at wherever you're going at church. So I'm going to read this quote to you again that I started with. A great change is taking place. And on the surface, the results are yet a little mixed. But underneath, the power is at work, destroying all unlike itself. In time, all will come to see this. What a load of responsibility we assume that we were never meant to carry. Remember that in the divine plan, no mistakes are made, and that if God could have done it in a better way, it would have done it differently. This happened, everything that is happening, every person that crosses our path happens for a reason. There are no mistakes. There are no mistakes that this group of people have come together at this time together with myself and all of us. There's no mistakes. It's all divine. It's all divine. Let's take a deep breath in. Let it out. Say to yourself, it's all divine. So it is. Thank you so much for having me. Beautiful Apple Valley High Desert Center for Spiritual Living. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Reverend Veronica. It's now our giving time. We are committed to, thank you, Eleanor. I was just wondering about that. We are committed to keeping our center open and the lights on. Thank you for being here and helping. Please give or tithe what you can to that end. For now, we will not be passing the baskets. Hopefully we'll get to do that soon. We need people to volunteer to usher also, folks. But there is a basket in the center of the aisle as you leave. Please do your donation there. If it's easier for you to set up auto pay, please head to our website. Click on, go through the Give Plus app on our website. It's also in the back of your program. Let us stand and read aloud our declaration of affirmative giving, located on the inside, on the left side of your program. please join me. Divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless. It is evidence of my conviction that God is the source and substance of my supply. I joyously contribute to this vision of spirits and knowing that it is bringing me multiplied abundantly. Thank you. God is my source.
You guys can sing along on this. It's called God is My Source. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks to all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Peace. Peace is my source. Peace is my power. Peace gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Joy. Joy is my source. Joy is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Joy gives me everything I need. And back to God. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Joy gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. One more. God gives me everything I need.
Thank you, Chris. I invite the Cracks to please come up front. Rise and come forward. We are all here to serve you. The prayer box, the prayer request box is in the garden room. Our phone numbers are on the back. Yes, please, Ron, you're doing this. Yes, I'm here. And we do want to hear from you. Those of you that are apprehensive, you're having issues, don't hesitate to call us. We're there to serve you. We're here to help you. Please. If you have any special prayer requests, fill out the form. It helps us really affirm the positiveness that you need, whatever it is in your life. And I don't have today's affirmation with me. I will skip that. I asked you to read today's affirmation. I will leave that up to you. Keep it in mind and help yourself move forward in it. And now we close this day, this moment, this hour, as we carry it with us forward throughout the day, throughout the week, as we honor one another, those that are with us and those that have passed. Thank you, God, for each and every one here, and bless their families and friends of the ones that are no longer with us. We honor them and bless this day. And so it is. So it is. Please stand and let's sing. God make me want to sing.